Yo, what's up guys? In this video I'm going to be showing you some of the best quests for you to complete, and I'm going to be judging them based on how good their rewards are. Just bear in mind that this top 10 is purely subjective and I may rank things higher than you may rank them, because I may find rewards more useful or less useful than you do. But anyway, let's get into it. Starting off at number 10 we have Desert Treasure. Now this is an old school quest, it's been around for ages. I remember doing this back in my day when I was like 12. It's quite a long quest and it is required for some of the better quests later on, so I'd highly recommend doing this. In order to start Desert Treasure you need 10 Slayer, 50 Fire Making, 50 Magic, 53 Thieving and 50 Mining. These skill requirements aren't that bad, you should be able to get these with no problem. And what rewards do you get from Desert Treasure? Well, the main thing is that you'll gain access to the Ancient Magic spellbook, and in this spellbook you can now use spells such as Blood Barrage and Ice Barrage, and those spells are particularly useful in the Abyss. So if you're ever going to look to train up your magic in the Abyss, I highly suggest doing this. And also you gain access to the Smoke Dungeon. In this dungeon there are just some Slayer monsters as well, so it's a good out of the way dungeon that hardly anyone uses. So yeah, that's pretty useful as well. Next up at number 9 we have the Elder KILN. Now this is a fairly hard quest, but it isn't that long, and the requirements in order to do this are 75 Magic, 60 Agility and 41 Mining. Once again, these skill requirements aren't really that bad. The only real bad one there is 60 Agility. I know a lot of you actually hate doing Agility. So yeah, that skill requirement may be a pain in the ass in order to get, but it is worth it because in the end you'll gain access to the Fight KILN where you can earn your Fight KILN cape. I actually have a guide on how to do the Fight KILN, so if you want to check that out, it's on my channel. The reason that you want to do this is because it's one of the best capes in the game for each combat style, and you'll also get a Toggle Zo. I don't know about you guys, but I always use my Toggle Zo when I want to get to a fairy ring. I just teleport to the fight cave and then there's a fairy ring right next to it. So yeah, it's just a good method of teleporting around. Coming in at number 8 we have the Light Within. Now this quest is a fairly long quest and it is quite difficult as well. If I were you, I'd make sure to use a guide for this quest because there are a lot of puzzles that you have to complete, and it will just be a lot quicker and a lot easier for you if you actually do use a guide in order to do this. I know for one that I did actually use a guide because I really can't be bothered with puzzles. I just hate puzzles, and I'm sure a lot of you are actually the same. So yeah, if you actually do use guides for the puzzles, it'll shave off some of the time needed in order to complete the quest. But anyway, the skill requirements that you need are 80 Agility, Crafting, Divination, Herblore, Prayer, Slayer and Woodcutting. Now yes, those are really high requirements. This quest has some of the highest requirements in the game, and the main reason that you want to complete this quest is because it gives you access to Seren's spells and prayers, aka Crystallize and Lightform. Those are the main ones. If you've watched any of my 1 to 99 guides, you'll realise that Crystallize and Lightform get used quite a bit. And in case you don't know already, Crystallize increases the XP that you'll gain from something by 50%. And if you have the Lightform prayer on as well, it will increase Crystallize's effect by 37.5%. So in total that's an 87.5% increase in XP. And also if you're using Crystallize on a tree for example, or a mining rock, the resource will not deplete and you can just keep on mining or woodcutting that same thing for ages. However, Crystallize does last 30 seconds, so every 30 seconds you're going to have to redo Crystallize on whatever you're doing, and then it's just pretty much AFK from there. So as you can tell, this is a great quest reward if you are planning on skilling in the future for any of those skills that actually can use Crystallize, and those skills are Hunter, Fishing, Mining and Woodcutting. So yeah, if you already have the required skills in order to do this quest, I'd highly recommend doing it. Next up we have Ritual of the MAHJARRAT, and this is a fairly long quest. The skill requirements that you need in order to do this quest are 76 Crafting, 77 Agility and 76 Mining. Once again, yep, 77 Agility, a pain in the ass skill to do, and 76 Mining also takes quite a while as well, so the skill requirements for this are kinda hard. But let's take a look at the rewards. This quest gives you access to the Glaciers. Glaciers are currently the best magic XP in the game and they're also quite decent money as well. If you're doing Glaciers and you're good at them, I think you can get up to around 600k magic XP an hour. And on top of that, you're also probably going to be getting around 2 million items if you don't get any of the boot drops. But if you do get the boot drops, your GP per hour will increase. So yeah, this quest is pretty much worth it just for that. But on top of that, you'll also gain access to mine and create Dragonbane bolts and arrows. Now these Dragonbane bolts and arrows are extremely useful if you're planning on doing QBD in the future. I'd highly recommend using them if you are going to go to QBD, so this quest is a must. And also this quest does give you access to the new Barrow's brother, Acrisay. At number 6 we have Fate of the Gods. Now Fate of the Gods is one of my favourite quests I think in the game. In order to do this you need 67 Summoning, 73 Agility, 75 Divination, 76 Slayer and 79 Magic. So there are a lot of skills that require 70 plus and Divination is probably the worst one out of them. However, you do get a lot of quest rewards. First one that you get is the Shard of Zaros. The Shard of Zaros is extremely useful if you're going to anywhere like the Godwill's Dungeon 1. If you roll the Shard of Zaros whilst you're in the Godwill's Dungeon, you will not gain aggro from any of the monsters. So this is a good replacement if you don't plan on using any of the God armors. Also you will gain access to the World Gate. and in the World Gate you can fight against Nihils and Muzpas. Nihils are like 5 mil an hour and Muzpas are around 3 mil an hour. On top of that, they're also decent XP as well. And also, if you have completed Ritual of the MAHJARRAT as well, you can fight Rune Dragons through the World Gate as well. And you'll also get one more reward as well, and you'll gain access to the Elder Hall, and this is a level 75 divination training spot. So yeah, this spot could come in pretty useful for those of you that are around 75 divination. Alright, so we're getting into the top 5 now, and we are approaching which quests I think are the best. So at number 5, we have a Fairy Tale Part 2. The skill requirements are pretty easy in order to do this quest. You only need 40 thieving, 49 farming and 57 herblore, and the only reason this quest is so good is because it gives you access to the Fairy Ring network. Now I mentioned before that the Tokkul Zo was so useful to me because I use it to get to the Fairy Rings, and Fairy Rings are just so useful because it lets you teleport all around RuneScape, and there are just so many useful teleport locations within this network. So I think this is a quest that all of you should aim to do, because one day or another as you increase in levels you're definitely going to need access to this Fairy Ring. Coming in at number 4, we have Smoking Kills. In order to do this quest you need 90 combat, 35 slayer and 25 crafting, so as you can tell the skill requirements aren't that high at all. Getting those things should be a fairly easy task for you. And what rewards do you actually get from Smoking Kills? Well, the first and main one is that you gain the ability to earn the full amount of Slayer points from your Slayer Master after completing a task. So this quest is pretty much necessary if you plan on training Slayer, which you should be. And not only does it let you gain Slayer points, but it also gives you the ability to construct Slayer items. So these are items such as the Slayer Helmet, and in case you didn't know, after wielding this helmet it gives you a 12.5 boost in damage and accuracy on melee, ranged and magic attacks against whatever Slayer task you're on. So it doesn't really matter what combat style you're using, it will always give you that 12% accuracy and boost in damage, so this should speed up your Slayer task quite significantly. And also after completing Smoking Kills you'll also gain access to a new Slayer Master, which is Summoner in Polnivnich. At number 3 we have The World Wakes. Now this quest doesn't actually have any skill requirements, but it does have a lot of quest requirements. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not listing the quest requirements for the quest that I'm listing. This is because some quests just have an insane amount of quest requirements. For example, this quest just has so many requirements so I can't list them all. But anyway, yeah, good news for you guys, there are no skill requirements for this one. And from this quest you will get 5 new combat abilities, and the main ones that you should be using are Death Swiftness and Sunshine. Death Swiftness is an ultimate ability for ranged, and Sunshine is an ultimate ability for magic. Both are extremely useful because it increases your damage output for its duration, so a lot of PVMers actually use it when they are bossing. This is why it's so highly ranked on my list, because I'm into bossing a lot and I use Death Swiftness pretty much all the time. So yeah, I don't really know what I'd do without it. And also this quest gives you access to Guthix's Cave. And in Guthix's Cave you will be able to fight automatons. Automatons are a really good Slayer task, and they also drop high level gloves. And those are worth quite a bit, so you could make some good money here. At number 2 we have Temple at SENNTISTEN. Now the only skill requirements that you need for this are 50 prayer, but I'm also going to mention that you need 125 kudos from the Varrock Museum. Now this quest isn't actually that long considering the reward it gives, and I'm pretty sure most of you already know what reward it gives, and that is access to the Ancient Curses prayer book. Now this prayer book gives you access to prayers such as Soul Split and Turmoil. It is just so good for PVMing, and if you're planning on PVMing in the future then I highly recommend getting it. It's actually impossible to do some PVM monsters effectively without Soul Split, and also not to mention Anguish, Turmoil and Torment. Those spells, in case you didn't know, increase your accuracy and damage in whatever combat style that you're using. So yeah, this quest is basically the pinnacle of PVM. If you plan on doing PVMing seriously in the future, then you definitely need to do this quest. Also, this quest gives you access to the Altar of Zaros in the SENNTISTEN Temple. And finally, at number 1, who would have guessed it, it is Plague's End. For this quest, you need 75 agility, construction, crafting, dungeoneering, herblore, mining, prayer, range, summoning, and woodcutting. Now those are a hell of a lot of requirements. I was streaming recently over the weekend and a lot of you have told me that you're actually going for these requirements, and a lot of you weren't actually that far off, so you might have achieved it over the weekend. And if you're wondering why is this quest so good, why is it number 1? Well, this quest gives you access to Prif. Now in Prif there are just so many things that you can do. There's a grand exchange there, it just offers so many ways for you to train your different skills up, and basically it's just where all the higher level players chill out. Not only does it give you all that stuff, but it also gives you access to the max guild once you have maxed out, and in this max guild there's a portal that can teleport you to any PVM monster. So yeah, if you're into PVMing, it can easily get you to any monster that you want to, and this is extremely useful if you're going to monsters like Araxor or Nex. Even without the max guild, Prif is still insane and gives you access to so many things. So I'd highly recommend everyone actually aim towards doing this. Also, not only does this quest give you access to Prif, but it also gives you the Trihyon Exoskeleton set. And this is extremely useful if you're planning on getting your thieving up, because this set gives you a 25% chance to avoid being stunned and damaged. So yeah, it'll just improve your thieving XP per hour. But anyway, that is it. That is the end of the video. What did you guys think about my rankings? Leave a comment below saying which ones you'd change around or which ones you'd add or get rid of. And also let me know what other top 10 or top 5s you'll like to see, because I'm actually really enjoying making these. But anyway, that is it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new, and peace!